The ballroom sparkled under crystal chandeliers as 400 employees of Meridian Defense Solutions raised their champagne glasses. I sat at table 12, watching my wife Aria climb the stage steps in her midnight blue dress, the same one she wore to our wedding 5 years ago. Employee of the Year, 3rd consecutive nomination, 1st win. The applause thundered around me while I kept my hands folded over the leather folder in my lap. "This award represents everything I've worked toward," Aria began, her voice carrying that confident tone I once found attractive. Now it just reminded me of her conference calls with Reed, Marcus, and Julian. "I want to thank everyone who believed in me, who supported my vision for this company's future." I stood up. The folder felt heavier than it should have, considering it contained nothing but photographs, hotel receipts, and printed messages. 6 months of detective work compressed into 47 pages of evidence. My IT background made the digital archaeology surprisingly simple. Deleted texts recover easily when you know where to look. Calendar invitations marked strategy sessions leave metadata trails, and corporate credit card statements tell stories their users never intended. "Most importantly," Aria continued, "I want to thank my husband Soren, whose unwavering support made this achievement possible." That was my cue. I walked toward the stage, folder in hand, while confused murmurs rippled through the audience. Aria's smile faltered when she saw me approaching the podium. CEO Helena Rydell sat at the head table, her expression shifting from ceremonial boredom to sharp attention as I climbed the steps. "Soren, what are you doing?" Aria whispered, stepping back from the microphone. I leaned into the microphone, my voice carrying across the silent ballroom. "Her real performance reviews are in here." I handed Helena the folder. "I think you'll find them more accurate than the official ones." Helena opened the folder. The first photograph showed Reed Trenner, our CFO, kissing Aria in the lobby of the Westin downtown. The timestamp read 3 weeks ago, 2:47 p.m., during what Aria's calendar listed as a budget review meeting. Helena's face remained professionally neutral, but her knuckles went white as she gripped the folder. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said into the microphone, "my wife Aria has indeed been an exceptional employee. She's provided services above and beyond her job description to 3 different executives over the past 6 months. Reed Trenner promoted her twice in 18 months. Marcus Weller approved every budget increase she requested. Julian Kepler nominated her for this very award. Her career has advanced quite horizontally." The ballroom erupted in shocked whispers. Aria grabbed for the microphone, but I stepped between her and the podium. "This is insane," she said, her voice cracking. "My husband is having a breakdown. This is all fabricated." Helena closed the folder and stood up. "Security, please escort Mrs. Corvin from the stage." "Wait," I said. "There's more. The folder also contains evidence that Aria has been forwarding proprietary defense contract information to Stellar Dynamics, where her college roommate Jennifer serves as CEO. The affairs provided access to classified data. The executives provided cover for industrial espionage." Helena's face went pale. Stellar Dynamics was our primary competitor for the Pentagon contract we'd been pursuing for 2 years. "That's enough," Helena said quietly. "Security, clear the stage. Everyone else, please return to your tables. The evening will continue shortly." But the evening was over. I could see it in Helena's eyes, in the way Reed Trenner was already heading for the exit, in the cluster of employees pulling out their phones to text what they'd just witnessed. Aria stood frozen at center stage, her Employee of the Year trophy forgotten on the podium. I walked back to table 12, where my brother-in-law Cole Merrick waited with a grim smile. As the company's legal counsel, he'd helped me compile the evidence over the past month. 18 months of watching his sister manipulate systems he'd sworn to protect had finally pushed him past family loyalty. "How long do you think before Reed resigns?" Cole asked. "Before midnight," I said. "Helena won't give him a choice." Aria finally left the stage, escorted by 2 security guards. She didn't look at me as they guided her toward the exit. The trophy remained on the podium, abandoned under the bright stage lights. 3 months earlier, I'd been a trusting husband who worked late debugging network security protocols, while my wife attended evening strategy sessions with company leadership. I specialized in data recovery and digital forensics. Ironic that I never thought to investigate the person sleeping next to me. The first clue came from our shared calendar. Aria had always been meticulous about scheduling, but her entries started becoming vague around January. Client meeting replaced specific names. Strategy session appeared twice weekly. Budget review lasted 4 hours on a Thursday afternoon, when I knew the quarterly budgets had been finalized weeks earlier. I might have ignored it if not for the hotel receipt I found in her jacket pocket. The Westin, March 15th, room 1247, charged to her corporate card. The same day, her calendar showed strategy session with leadership team. But the leadership team had been in Chicago that day for the defense contractors conference. I knew because I'd configured their VPN access myself. That night, while Aria slept, I began what she would later call my breakdown. I called it archaeology. Her laptop yielded the first treasure trove. Aria had deleted her message history with Reed, Marcus, and Julian, but deletion only removes the index entries. The actual data remains until the storage sectors get overwritten. Recovery took me 20 minutes. Reed Trenner, CFO. Same room as last time? I can approve the budget increase during our meeting. Aria. Perfect. Wear the blue tie I bought you. Reed. Already wearing it. Helena complimented me on it this morning. The messages spanned 4 months, mixing business discussions with personal arrangements. Reed had promoted Aria from senior analyst to director in February, then to senior director in April. Each promotion came within a week of their hotel meetings. Marcus Weller's messages were more direct. As VP of Operations, he controlled departmental budgets and resource allocation. His texts read like purchase orders. Marcus. Your team's headcount request approved. See you Thursday. Aria. Room 1847 this time. The corner suites have better views. Marcus. Worth every penny of that budget increase. Julian Kepler's messages revealed the most sophisticated operation. As chief of staff to the CEO, he had access to strategic planning documents, contract negotiations, and personnel decisions. His affair with Aria wasn't just about access. It was about intelligence. Julian. Pentagon contract details attached. Helena wants your team's input by Friday. Aria. Forwarding to Jennifer at Stellar for comparison. She owes me lunch. Julian. Careful with that. If anyone traces the leak. Aria. Jennifer's discreet. Besides, who would suspect Employee of the Year? That message was dated 2 weeks ago. I screenshot everything, cross-referenced the timestamps with hotel receipts and calendar entries, then built a timeline that would make prosecutors weep with joy. Aria hadn't just been cheating. She'd been running a counterintelligence operation disguised as corporate networking. The security clearance implications hit me next. Julian's position required top-secret clearance. His affair with someone passing classified information to competitors created blackmail vulnerabilities that foreign intelligence services would exploit without hesitation. I'd stumbled onto a national security incident. I spent the next week documenting everything. Hotel surveillance footage from the Westin showed Aria entering the elevator with Reed at 2:43 p.m. on March 15th, exactly 4 minutes before the timestamp on their message exchange. The Marriott's parking garage cameras captured her arriving for meetings with Marcus. The Hilton's restaurant security system recorded her dinner with Julian, where they discussed the Pentagon contract over wine and appetizers. By the time I finished compiling evidence, I had enough material to destroy 3 careers and send my wife to federal prison. The folder contained 47 pages of photographs, receipts, message transcripts, and timeline analysis. I'd organized it like the security audit reports I wrote for work, methodical, comprehensive, and devastating. Cole helped me verify the legal implications. As Aria's brother and the company's legal counsel, he faced an ethical nightmare. But 18 months of watching his sister manipulate promotion processes while qualified colleagues got passed over had eroded his family loyalty. "She's committed corporate espionage," he told me during our coffee meeting downtown. "The Pentagon contract information she forwarded to Stellar Dynamics is classified. Julian's career's over. Reed and Marcus face SEC investigation for the stock trades they made based on insider information she provided, and Aria faces federal charges." "What about you?" I asked. "Won't this create problems for your position?" Cole shook his head. "I'm reporting it through proper channels. Helena needs to know before the federal investigators arrive. Because they're coming, Soren. The SEC flagged Marcus's trading patterns 6 weeks ago. Counterintelligence started monitoring Julian's communications last month. Your evidence just accelerates their timeline." That night, I sat in my home office, staring at the folder that would end my marriage and destroy 4 careers. Aria was upstairs preparing for the Employee of the Year Gala, trying on dresses and practicing her acceptance speech. She had no idea that federal agents were already building cases against her and her 3 lovers. The irony was perfect. She'd manipulated the system to win Employee of the Year through affairs with the executives who controlled promotions, budgets, and award nominations. Tomorrow night, she'd accept that trophy in front of 400 colleagues who believed she'd earned it through merit and hard work. I decided to let her have her moment on stage before I destroyed her world. Understanding Aria's system required analyzing each relationship separately. She hadn't randomly selected 3 executives for affairs. She'd strategically targeted the men who controlled different aspects of career advancement at Meridian Defense Solutions. Her approach was methodical, almost scientific. Reed Trenner, our CFO, controlled compensation and promotion budgets. At 52, he'd been with Meridian for 15 years, working his way up from senior accountant to the executive suite. His wife had passed away from cancer 3 years ago, leaving him emotionally vulnerable and socially isolated. Aria identified him as a target within weeks of his wife's memorial service. Her approach was subtle. She began attending the monthly financial review meetings, where Reed presented budget allocations to department heads. Her questions were insightful, her suggestions practical. Within 2 months, Reed was inviting her to follow-up discussions about budget optimization strategies. The messages between them revealed a gradual progression from professional mentorship to personal relationship. Reed was lonely, grateful for intelligent conversation with someone who understood financial planning. Aria was patient, supportive, and strategically available during his difficult evenings. "You've been so helpful with the budget analysis," Reed wrote in February. "Would you like to discuss the Q2 projections over dinner?" "I'd love to," Aria replied. "I know a quiet place where we can talk without interruptions." The quiet place was the Weston's restaurant, where they could transition seamlessly from dinner to drinks, to room 1247. Reed approved Aria's promotion to director the following week, along with a 22% salary increase that made her the highest-paid director in company history. Marcus Weller represented a different challenge. As VP of Operations, he controlled departmental resources, staffing levels, and project assignments. But Marcus wasn't lonely or vulnerable. He was aggressive, competitive, and married to a woman who monitored his activities closely. Aria's approach required different tactics. She positioned herself as a collaborator rather than a romantic interest. Her operations analysis reports began appearing on Marcus's desk with increasing frequency, each one identifying inefficiencies his team had missed. Her suggestions saved the company money while making Marcus look more competent to the executive committee. "Your team's productivity analysis was brilliant," Marcus wrote in March. "How did you identify the scheduling conflicts my managers missed?" "I spent extra time reviewing the data," Aria replied. "I could show you my methodology if you're interested." The methodology discussions happened at the Marriott, where Marcus felt safe from his wife's surveillance network. Their affair was purely transactional. Marcus provided budget approvals and resource allocation in exchange for operational insights and personal attention. Aria's team grew from 12 people to 18 people in 6 weeks, with overtime budgets that exceeded some entire departments. Julian Kepler was the most sophisticated target. As chief of staff to CEO Helena Rydell, he had access to strategic planning documents, contract negotiations, and confidential personnel information. But Julian was also the smartest of the 3 executives, the most likely to recognize manipulation. Aria's approach was intellectual seduction. She began attending the monthly strategic planning meetings, where Julian presented Helena's vision to senior staff. Her questions demonstrated understanding of complex business strategy. Her comments revealed insights that impressed even Helena. "Your analysis of the Pentagon contract competition was exceptional," Julian wrote in April. "Have you considered strategic planning as a career path?" "I'd love to learn more about it," Aria replied. "Would you be willing to mentor me?" The mentorship sessions happened at the Hilton, where Julian felt comfortable discussing confidential strategic information. Their relationship was the most dangerous because it involved actual classified data. Julian shared Pentagon contract details, competitor analysis, and strategic planning documents that Aria forwarded to her college roommate at Stellar Dynamics. "Helena's concerned about Stellar's bid," Julian wrote 2 weeks ago. "Their proposal addresses weaknesses in our approach that we haven't shared publicly." "Maybe they just did better research," Aria replied. "Or maybe they have inside information," Julian wrote. "Helena's asked me to investigate potential leaks." That message was the smoking gun. Julian suspected information leaks while simultaneously providing information to the person doing the leaking. His affair with Aria had compromised his judgment so completely that he couldn't recognize the obvious explanation for Stellar's competitive advantage. The 3 relationships operated independently, with each executive believing he had exclusive access to Aria's attention. Reed thought their financial planning discussions were unique intellectual connections. Marcus believed their operational collaboration represented special professional chemistry. Julian assumed their strategic planning mentorship was evidence of rare mutual understanding. None of them knew about the others. Aria managed the relationships like project portfolios, scheduling meetings to avoid conflicts, maintaining separate communication channels, and providing each man with exactly the type of attention he craved most. The system was brilliant in its simplicity. She gave Reed emotional support during his grief. She gave Marcus professional validation for his operational expertise. She gave Julian intellectual stimulation through strategic discussions. In return, they gave her promotions, budget increases, and classified information that she monetized through her relationship with Stellar Dynamics. But systems have vulnerabilities. Aria's system depended on compartmentalization, keeping each relationship separate and secret. She never anticipated that her husband might discover all 3 simultaneously, or that her brother might help document the evidence, or that federal investigators might already be monitoring the executives she was manipulating. The Employee of the Year award was supposed to be the culmination of her system's success. Instead, it became the stage for its complete exposure. The Pentagon contract represented the largest opportunity in Meridian Defense Solutions history. The Department of Defense was seeking a primary contractor for cybersecurity infrastructure across 15 military installations with a total value of $800 million over 5 years. Winning would establish Meridian as a major defense contractor. Losing would force layoffs and restructuring that might destroy the company. Stellar Dynamics had been our primary competitor for 2 years. They'd grown from a small consulting firm to a major player by consistently underbidding established contractors while delivering superior proposals. Industry analysts praised their strategic insights and competitive intelligence capabilities. Nobody suspected they were receiving inside information from Meridian's own employees. Jennifer Walsh, Stellar's CEO, had been Aria's roommate at Georgetown University 15 years ago. They'd maintained contact through alumni events and professional networking, but their relationship intensified when Stellar began competing for contracts against Meridian. What appeared to be casual friendship was actually a sophisticated intelligence operation. The message exchanges between Aria and Jennifer revealed the scope of their collaboration. Aria provided strategic planning documents, budget information, technical specifications, and personnel details that allowed Stellar to craft proposals specifically designed to exploit Meridian's weaknesses. Meridian's Pentagon proposal emphasizes network redundancy, Aria wrote in May. They're planning triple-layer security architecture with physical isolation protocols. Interesting, Jennifer replied. Our proposal focuses on integrated cloud-based solutions with AI monitoring. Sounds like we're taking opposite approaches. Helena's concerned about cloud security vulnerabilities, Aria wrote. She thinks the Pentagon will prefer isolated systems. Maybe we should emphasize hybrid approaches, Jennifer replied. Best of both worlds. Thanks for the insight. The next week, Stellar modified their proposal to include hybrid cloud isolation architecture that addressed Helena's concerns while maintaining cost advantages. Their bid was 12% lower than Meridian's, while offering superior technical solutions. The Pentagon's evaluation committee was impressed by Stellar's apparent understanding of government security priorities. But the information sharing went beyond technical specifications. Aria provided Jennifer with personnel information that allowed Stellar to recruit key Meridian employees at critical moments. Budget details helped them time their competitive moves for maximum impact. Strategic planning documents gave them advance warning of Meridian's market expansion plans. Meridian's planning to acquire Data Secure Industries, Aria wrote in June. Helena wants to announce it after the Pentagon contract decision. Data Secure would give them significant competitive advantages, Jennifer replied. Maybe we should make our own acquisition offer. Helena's offering $42 million, Aria wrote. Closing date is August 15th. Stellar made their offer to Data Secure the following week, $45 million with a July 30th closing date. Data Secure accepted, giving Stellar the technical capabilities that Helena had planned to use for Meridian's market expansion. The acquisition announcement sent Meridian's stock price down 8%, while Stellar's rose 12%. The financial implications were staggering. Aria's information sharing had cost Meridian millions in lost opportunities while generating millions in profits for Stellar. But the legal implications were even worse because the Pentagon contract involved classified information that required security clearances to access. Julian's position as chief of staff gave him top-secret clearance, which meant his affair with someone passing information to competitors created blackmail vulnerabilities that threatened national security. Foreign intelligence services monitor defense contractors for exactly these types of compromises. Julian's relationship with Aria was the kind of vulnerability that could be exploited to access classified military information. The counterintelligence implications became clear when I researched Stellar's ownership structure. Jennifer Walsh owned 60% of the company, but the remaining 40% was held by Meridian Capital Partners, an investment firm with connections to several foreign governments. The money trail was complex, but the pattern was obvious. Foreign investors were using Stellar to access American defense contracts through information provided by compromised Meridian employees. I documented everything in a supplemental report that I planned to provide to federal investigators. The evidence showed that Aria's affairs weren't just personal betrayals or corporate misconduct. They were part of a foreign intelligence operation designed to compromise American defense contractors. Her relationship with Jennifer Walsh was the conduit for information that ultimately benefited foreign governments seeking access to Pentagon cybersecurity systems. The irony was that Aria probably didn't understand the full scope of what she was doing. She thought she was helping a college friend compete for business contracts while advancing her own career through affairs with executives. She didn't realize she was participating in a foreign intelligence operation that threatened national security. But ignorance wouldn't protect her from federal prosecution. Corporate espionage carries sentences of up to 15 years in federal prison, especially when classified information is involved. Julian faced similar charges for providing classified information to unauthorized persons. Reed and Marcus faced SEC investigation for insider trading based on information Aria provided about company finances and strategic planning. The Employee of the Year award ceremony was scheduled for the same week that federal investigators planned to execute search warrants and make arrests. My decision to expose everything publicly would actually help the investigation by forcing the conspirators to reveal their connections while trying to manage the crisis. Helena would have no choice but to cooperate with federal investigators once she understood the scope of the compromise. The company's defense contracts required maintaining security clearances and following strict protocols for handling classified information. Aria's activities threatened every government contract Meridian held. The folder I planned to give Helena contained enough evidence to trigger immediate security reviews, clearance suspensions, and federal investigations. But it also contained enough evidence to protect the company by demonstrating that senior leadership hadn't been aware of the compromise and was taking immediate action to address it. Aria thought she was about to receive recognition for exceptional performance. Instead, she was about to become the center of a national security investigation that would destroy her career, her freedom, and her future. The ballroom cleared quickly after my stage interruption. Employees clustered in small groups, whispering about what they'd witnessed while checking their phones for messages and social media updates. The Employee of the Year ceremony had become the corporate scandal of the decade in less than 10 minutes. Helena Rydell handled the crisis with the precision that had made her CEO. She immediately called an emergency meeting of the board of directors, suspended Reed, Marcus, and Julian pending investigation, and contacted the company's legal department to begin damage control procedures. By midnight, all three executives had submitted resignation letters rather than face formal termination proceedings. Aria disappeared from the hotel before security could escort her out. I found her at home 2 hours later, sitting in our kitchen with a bottle of wine and her laptop open to news articles about corporate espionage cases. She looked up when I walked in, her face a mixture of rage and calculation. "You destroyed everything," she said quietly. "My career, my reputation, my future. For what? Because you couldn't handle being married to someone more successful than you?" I sat down across from her and pulled out my phone. "Let me show you something." The screen displayed a news alert from the Washington Post. Federal investigators execute search warrants at Stellar Dynamics in corporate espionage investigation. The article was brief, but damning. FBI agents had raided Stellar's offices, seized computers and documents, and arrested Jennifer Walsh on charges of receiving stolen trade secrets from defense contractors. "Jennifer was arrested 3 hours ago," I said. "The FBI has been monitoring Stellar for 6 months. Your message exchanges with her are federal evidence in a national security investigation. This isn't about our marriage, Aria. This is about treason." Her face went pale. "I never gave her classified information. We just talked about business strategy. You forwarded Pentagon contract specifications that Julian shared with you. Those specifications are classified. You provided budget information that Reed showed you in confidence. You shared personnel details that Marcus discussed during your operational reviews. Every piece of information you gave Jennifer was either classified or proprietary. Every message exchange is documented evidence of corporate espionage." I showed her another news alert. "Meridian Defense Solutions executives resign amid federal investigation." The article named Reed, Marcus, and Julian as subjects of the investigation, along with unnamed co-conspirators who had provided classified information to competitors. "The FBI will arrest you within the week," I said. "Your message history with Jennifer is already in federal evidence files. Your hotel meetings with the executives are documented through surveillance footage and credit card records. Your security clearance will be revoked. Your assets will be frozen, and your legal defense will cost more than our house is worth." Aria stared at the laptop screen, reading the articles with growing panic. "This is insane. I was just helping a friend compete for contracts. I didn't know about any foreign investors or national security implications." "Ignorance isn't a defense for corporate espionage," I said. "Jennifer's company received 40% of its funding from foreign investors with connections to hostile governments. The information you provided gave foreign intelligence services access to American defense contractor strategies and classified Pentagon cybersecurity plans. You're not just facing corporate misconduct charges, you're facing national security charges." She closed the laptop and looked at me with the same calculating expression she'd used during budget negotiations with Marcus. "What do you want? Money? The house? I'll give you whatever you need to make this go away." "I can't make federal investigations go away," I said. "But I can help you understand what's coming next. The FBI will offer you a cooperation agreement if you provide information about Jennifer's operation and testify against the executives who gave you classified information. Your sentence will depend on how much you help them understand the scope of the compromise." Cole arrived 20 minutes later with a criminal defense attorney who specialized in national security cases. The attorney, Patricia Chen, had handled similar cases involving defense contractors and foreign intelligence operations. Her assessment was grim but realistic. The federal charges will include corporate espionage, receiving stolen trade secrets, and potentially conspiracy to commit economic espionage, Patricia explained. The maximum sentences range from 10 to 20 years, but cooperation agreements can reduce that significantly. The key is demonstrating that you were manipulated by foreign intelligence operatives rather than actively participating in their operation. Aria listened to the legal analysis with growing desperation. "I thought I was helping Jennifer compete for business. I didn't know about the foreign investors or the national security implications." "That narrative could work if you cooperate fully with the investigation," Patricia said. "But it requires admitting to the affairs, acknowledging that you provided classified information, and testifying against Julian, Reed, and Marcus. It also requires accepting responsibility for your actions while demonstrating that you were essentially a pawn in a larger operation." The cooperation agreement negotiations took 6 weeks. Aria provided detailed information about her relationship with Jennifer, her affairs with the 3 executives, and her understanding of how the information was used. In exchange, federal prosecutors agreed to recommend a reduced sentence of 5 years, with possibility of parole after 3 years. Reed, Marcus, and Julian received longer sentences because their security clearances made them responsible for protecting classified information. Reed got 8 years for providing financial data that allowed Stellar to manipulate stock prices. Marcus got 10 years for sharing operational information that compromised military contractor security protocols. Julian got 15 years for providing Pentagon contract specifications that gave foreign investors access to classified cybersecurity plans. Jennifer Walsh received 25 years for operating a foreign intelligence front company disguised as a legitimate business. The federal investigation revealed that Stellar had been compromised by foreign investors from the beginning, with Jennifer serving as an unwitting asset who gradually became a willing participant in the operation. Meridian Defense Solutions survived the scandal by cooperating fully with federal investigators and implementing new security protocols for handling classified information. Helena Rydell testified before Congress about the need for stronger counterintelligence measures in the defense contractor industry. The company eventually won a modified version of the Pentagon contract after demonstrating that the security compromises had been eliminated. I kept the house, changed jobs to a smaller firm that didn't require security clearances, and adopted a dog named Murphy, who doesn't care about corporate politics or national security investigations. The Employee of the Year trophy was eventually thrown away by hotel cleaning staff who didn't know whose name was engraved on it. The whole experience taught me that marriage, like cybersecurity, depends on trust protocols that become vulnerabilities when they're compromised. Aria exploited the trust of 3 executives. Her college roommate exploited Aria's ambitions, and foreign intelligence services exploited everyone's greed and naivety. But sometimes, the best defense against exploitation is simply paying attention to the evidence that's hidden in plain sight. Aria's affairs were documented in hotel receipts, calendar entries, and message exchanges that she thought she'd deleted. Her espionage was recorded in email attachments, file transfers, and phone calls that federal investigators had been monitoring for months. The truth was always there, waiting for someone to compile it into a comprehensive report. I just happened to be the person with the right skills and the right motivation to do the archaeology.